This is The Mat Return. Today we meet Jame, a dad who started jujitsu to keep up with his son and found a way to breathe through panic. 5 years in the Marine Corps, 2 tours in Afghanistan. On the mat, pressure brought those feelings back. Then, training taught him control. We talk about learning to relax, why strength is not a plan, and how coaching kids makes your technique honest. But first, here's a short pre-interview to set the stage. So I'm here with Jame, and we're going to learn a few things about you, Jame, in the upcoming days. You are never on camera before this.
Correct.
What's the story behind that?
It's a story. I usually just keep to myself, sort of thing. I don't have any like superstitions about cameras stealing my soul or anything like that. I kind of keep to myself. I keep to myself, and I sort of just try to stay out of the way. And I'm an observer for a lot of things, and so I'm just not looking for the spotlight, that sort of thing. So I keep to the background, and I enjoy observing from the outside.
And so people might not know about you that you are a veteran.
Yeah. U.S. Marine Corps, 5 years. I was in the war in Afghanistan twice, and yeah.
And so jiu-jitsu has helped you a lot, I understand.
Absolutely, yeah. Jiu-jitsu was a big thing for controlling. There was a lot of symptoms that I had coming back from war, and it was day-to-day life. It was normally okay, but there was that panic that set in, that feeling of not being in control of a situation, and a lot of it was because of those experiences. And funnily enough, one of our coaches, Coach Miguel, he's a black belt now. Then he was a brown belt when I first started. He's really good at controlling you and putting pressure down and smothering you. And there was a lot of feelings of panic and anxiety and stress. And I felt back in those moments of being out of control. And he showed me through consistent pressure and through techniques how I can control that. And so now I'm on the bottom. If somebody's controlling me and pressuring me, I'm okay. I remember that I can breathe, that I can handle it, and that everything's going to be all right. It's sort of being comfortable, being uncomfortable sort of situation, which a lot of people in jiu-jitsu say. But being comfortable, being uncomfortable really got me past a lot of my trauma issues. Absolutely.
There is something about having somebody smothering you
Yeah.
and having to work through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You have to remember how to use your brain, because for a lot of it, you're kind of in this panic moment of, I need to push. I'm a relatively strong and fit guy, but your muscle doesn't mean anything in jiu-jitsu. So I'm struggling, I'm pushing, I'm wasting all of my energy, and none of that matters. You kind of need to release control to get your brain to be in a position where it can think through and understand, this is what I need to do. This position's uncomfortable, but these are the moves I can do to lessen that pressure and get back into a position where I have more control over myself, and then consequently the opponent as well.
So how has that manifested? You know, our kids are friends. We've got kids, and they come here. How has that manifested in your parenting?
Well, it's a whole sense of control thing. Like, thankfully, my issues from war, excuse me, never manifested really into my parenting. But what it did give me a lot more control over was understanding that not everything is in my control, and letting the kids really explore and go and be in the woods. And I would be watching them, but I was much more of a hands-off parent than a helicopter parent. And that allowed me, that control in jiu-jitsu of understanding that I'm not in control and that's okay, really transitioned to the rest of my life, where I can just take things easier and relax when it comes to my kids, when it comes to my job. And I'm a contractor, so that gets really difficult with being in control of things. So it really helped me.
And so I know that this isn't the full interview, but just a teaser. So what is something that you want me to ask you about when we have our full interview?
Ask me about, how I learned to slow down, because I am 1,000 miles an hour all the time. I have an endless gas tank. I can just roll forever. But rolling forever is not how you get better. It's not about 15 rolls per night, 4 to 5 times a week. It's not about that. It's about making the best use of those rolls that you do get.
And that is true, because at Globetrotters camp, they say right at the beginning, you can't do everything. And you took that,
I tried.
You took that as a challenge.
In I remember that because it was 12 hours a day of jujitsu, and the first day I did 12, and then I did 13, and then I did 11, and I did 12. I took 37 classes, and I had to take about a month off of jujitsu when I came back. It was not sustainable, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot from Globetrotters, absolutely.
All right, man. Well, let's get the full interview scheduled. I appreciate you, Jame.
Yes, sir.
Last time we were here, we hinted at a few of the things you would be talking about this week. Is there anything you want to lead off with, or do you want me to start the questioning?
No, you can go ahead and kick us off.
So, Jame, how long have you been practicing here at White Mountain?
I've been practicing for about, I think, 3 years at this point. A little off and on because I travel a lot, but 3 years, yeah.
And you started not because of yourself, but you started because your kids were doing it, right?
Yeah, my son Kale has been coming to this gym for about 4 years actually, and he was coming back when we were over closer to Plymouth, and he was coming every week, and I was watching him, and he was really proud of the work he was doing, but he wanted to practice at home. But he wanted me to practice with him, and I didn't know anything about jiu-jitsu except for what I saw. And so he convinced me to start coming, and there was a class right after his class that was an adult class. And so I started going and quickly got my butt kicked over and over and over again, but I got hooked pretty quick.
And so you had some experience prior to that in the military,
yeah,
with combatives or whatnot. And,
yeah.
And so how did that cross over into you've seen your son do it, and then you're on the mat for the first time?
Yeah, so when I was in the military, they did this thing called Mick Ninja. It's Mick Map, and it's kind of an abbreviated version of like boxing and jiu-jitsu and judo. And I felt pretty confident because we were all coming into it in the Marine Corps, pretty ignorant of what we were doing. And so we didn't do well, but we all felt good about not doing well against each other. And then when I came into jiu-jitsu, I thought a little bit of background, I can hold my own, I'm relatively strong, I'm athletic, I go rock climbing, I dirt bike, I do a lot of stuff. So I came in with a little overconfidence, I'm gonna say. And that shut me down pretty hard on the first day. And even rolling with my son before I did my first day of adult jiu-jitsu, he was smoking me. He was rolling me, he was flipping me, he was getting me in Kimuras, and it was all kind of fun and games. And it was enjoyable, but it was also a little humbling.
How did your time in the Marines translate over to you're being smothered on the mat? You're having bad things happen to you. And I know you've told me this story. If you're comfortable telling it now, I think people would like to hear that.
Yeah, so it actually didn't translate very well at all. My time in the military, I was in charge. I was a squad leader when I went over to Afghanistan, and I was in charge of a position and a bunch of Marines and Afghanis. And we had some situations that ended up not turning out so well. And there was a situation where a vehicle rolled over. There was some combat events there where we were feeling smothered. Not necessarily somebody laying on my chest, but it felt like there was a gorilla on my chest. And there's a phrase that says, letting the monkey out of the cage when you panic too much. And so when I came back as a civilian, I was stressed out about that for quite a while. And so I thought I had handled it until I got onto the mat in jiu-jitsu and people started smothering me. And that really closed in the world. Like the whole world shuts down and really like condenses for you. And people laying on my face and I couldn't breathe and I was getting stressed out and I was hyperventilating. And that was a big obstacle for me to get past. But nobody took it easy on me. They weren't being cruel, but specifically Miguel, who was a brown belt at the time, black belt now, is really good at putting that pressure on you, whether it's knee on belly or a move called Mother's Milk, which if you've been in White Mountain Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Miguel has done Mother's Milk on you, and it's just crushing you with his chest. And you can breathe. That's the thing that you don't realize is you absolutely can breathe. But that moment of panic where you're just like, I can't breathe comfortably. I'm being smothered. There's something over my face, whether he's putting his hand or his chest or his shoulder, or he's strangled me with my own arm before. And it was very stressful and really brought me back to those moments in the military where I had that kind of panic. But the more he did it, the more comfortable I was with, after every time, I was okay until I was able to survive 5 minutes of being smothered. And it brought a new clarity to me. And I sort of reached this they call it a flow state, where he was on top of me and smothering me, but I was able to breathe, and I was able to think, and I was able to relax until I could get into a position of being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and I could breathe and take my time instead of struggling so hard to push off that weight, to use all my muscle, to use all my strength and leverage to get it off of me immediately. I learned how to settle into it and be like, okay, I'm okay. So it really, really, really did help me with my, it is PTSD. It helped me with that, and it helped me move on. And it really affected me in other parts of my life where I feel that crushing weight of anxiety or stress, going into public places with lots and lots of people. That stress comes back, and again, the world condenses and gets very small, but you can breathe through it and really get past it. And jiu-jitsu really, really crossed a barrier for me there.
I know you spent, I think, 5 years in the Marines and transitioning back to civilian life. How long was it from when you got out until you started jiu-jitsu?
Ooh, let's see. So I got out in 2013, and I didn't start until about 3 years ago. So almost 10 years, yeah.
And I know a lot of folks here have noticed that, especially you have tremendous physicality for your age, or just period, end of story. At the beginning, you even noted that you tended to over-rely on the physicality.
Yeah.
And that manifested, I think, in a lot of injuries that were maybe avoidable.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so I think if I have one lesson to teach anybody, it's relax, calm down. Like, it's gonna be okay. I used a lot of that strength, especially I stayed away from no-gi because you can't use your muscle and power nearly as much. I can grab onto a gi and I can hold it for days. I do rock climbing, I do construction, I dirt bike, so I have a pretty good grip. I can just hang onto your gi and just sit there and relax. But I'm using a lot of muscle. I'm using a lot of strength, and I'm at 100% strength the entire 5 minutes of the roll. And that way, when somebody rolls into an arm bar or they go for a Kimura, I'm still trying to use that strength and really activate those muscles. And my ligaments and tendons can't take that kind of strain in those kind of positions. I actually tore my knee my first year of jiu-jitsu. There was a purple belt that got me in an ankle hold. And he wasn't being malicious, he wasn't being aggressive, he set it in real nice, but I didn't know what I was doing. And I had that panic moment, and I used a lot of muscle, and I ended up tearing my meniscus by trying to rip it out really hard. And not that long ago either, I went to a camp with you and Alex and Coach Frank, and it was in Maine, and I hurt my shoulder the day before we left. But I was so intent on maximizing my time, and I really tried to use my strength to overcome my injury, and I just ended up tearing it worse. And I've had a lot of injuries in my first couple of years of jiu-jitsu, not because jiu-jitsu is dangerous, because I was being dangerous. I was using too much muscle. I wasn't relaxing into it. I hadn't gotten into that flow state of just calming down and breathing and understanding when to use my muscle. Because that's really the key. You need muscle, you need your strength, you need your flexibility, but if you use it all of the time, you're really draining your body. And I was the kind of guy that I was the first one in on Thursdays and I was the last one out. I would stay till 10:30, 11 o'clock sometimes, and I would roll as many times as I could. And because I was trying to maximize my time, I was rolling as hard as I could every time. And I was over-relying on my strength to get me out of holds. There's a couple of us in here that have hurt ourselves when somebody gets into an arm bar, and we're just trying to pull really, really, really hard. And that ends up not working out so well, and then you're hurt for the next week. And then the choice is, do I go to jiu-jitsu or do I take a break? And I didn't want to lose ground. I didn't want to go backwards. I had found something that I was really passionate about and I really wanted to stick with, but not coming in, that felt like I was quitting. If I wasn't giving my all on every roll, if I wasn't using 100% strength, if I wasn't exhausted by the end, then I feel like I failed. Because I was getting tapped a lot, and that's demoralizing after a while. You go into jiu-jitsu and you think, I'm strong, I'm fit, I have a little bit of background in martial arts, I'm gonna be fine. And you just get rolled over and over and tapped and tapped and tapped, and you really try to fight it. And instead of accepting it and calming down and slowing down and allowing yourself to heal is really, really the key there.
I'd like you to comment then on this observation.
Okay.
You and I have been tapped to facilitate the kids class,
Yeah.
which is a 2-hour for big kids and little kids every Thursday.
Yep.
We've also taken on another class on Tuesday, which is just a special class to provide more training for the kids. Comment on this observation. I have noticed that since we have been assigned that responsibility, that your injury rate has fallen.
Yeah.
Why is that accurate, and why do you think that is?
Yeah, so I think it's causation and correlation. I have been going to massage therapy, and that has really turned my view around on what it takes to be strong. I grew up in the age of no pain, no gain, pain is weakness leaving the body, all that nonsense. And really, through my massage therapist, was actually our coach's wife, Kim Wiley. She really taught me that if it hurts, maybe don't do that, which seems like a crazy thought, but I had grown up in an age where that wasn't the case. So I have slowed down. When I injure something, stop using that so much. I can still come to jiu-jitsu, just don't go 100% all the time. And then with the kids, it really helped me teaching them. I had to focus on the little minutia of each move because I have to show them. And when their move isn't working for them, I have to figure out why. Yeah, they've got they've got the grip right, they've got their leg in the right spot, and they're able to roll, but it's really hard for them. So I had to focus on the small pieces. And I was trying to overcome, like we talked about before, my lack of technique with muscle. And once you realize that you don't need to work hard for any move in jiu-jitsu, honestly, then you're using less muscle, and I just have less opportunities to tear things or pull things, or you exert yourself too far in one direction and somebody arm drags you, well, now you're off balance and you've slammed to the ground. Instead of they arm drag you and you guide that gently down. It's really understanding your body and your hips. And once you understand your position, you don't have to use so much muscle. So I definitely did calm down. A combination of understanding that I don't need to go 100% every roll, and that it's more about the technique than it is about how strong I am. We have a couple of white belts in here and blue belts that are very, very, very strong. And it's really hard for me to get moves on them because they're strong or stronger than me. But it's not about being stronger than them. We have one guy in here, Tom, who's I think 155 pounds or something like that. I outweigh him by 30 pounds, but he just destroys me every time. It's not because he's stronger than me, it's because he's using that technique. So that technique really not only allows you to be successful with each and every roll, it allows you to protect your body each and every roll.
So has your definition of success in jiu-jitsu changed then over this duration?
Yeah, so even from the beginning, success was being on top. That's what I really thought, is I wanted to be in a dominant position. I've never been a wrestler, but I kind of had that wrestler mentality of, if I'm on top, then I'm in a dominant position. If you've ever rolled with Elliot or Miguel, you'll learn very quickly that being on top means nothing, and they're going to submit you. So after that, it was be submitted less. That was really the goal. You get submitted on every roll as a white belt, as a beginning, and it was be submitted less. And then I started getting to the point where I wouldn't get submitted at all in a 5-minute round by a blue belt and maybe even a purple belt. And the definition changed. Now I can survive for 5 minutes, but I'm just laying there protecting my neck and controlling the situation as much as I can. So it changed to go for something, get out of the position, get into a scramble even if I can do that, or get into side control or mount and just hold it for a second. And then it moved to go for a submission, which was foolish. I started going for submissions way too early. And I remember Coach Craig, I asked one time, I was like, hey, how do you do this triangle? And he said, I'm not teaching you. It's position over submission. And so as you develop through jiu-jitsu, there's the tendency to want to hit all these moves that we learn, but it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with your understanding of the situation, your control. So now I've changed it to I have one move that I'm going to do every time I come into class. Whatever it is that we learned is fine, and I'm going to practice that, but there's one move that I want to hit. It might be a position, it might be a pass, it might be a submission, it might be getting out of a position. But either way, I'm coming into each class with that goal in mind, and so that's success. If I come in trying to do the flower sweep and I hit one flower sweep, high five, I did a great job. And I'm really okay with that. And I'll roll with everybody that I can, white belts, blue belts, purple belts, black belts if they'll let me. Though with black belts, it's less about hit the move and more about, survive the 5 minutes. Yeah.
How has working with the kids and seeing them develop impacted your jiu-jitsu?
I'm better at jiu-jitsu for teaching the children. Like I said before, it's about understanding the minutia, but I'm watching them with a much more critical eye, and it really fills me with a sense of pride. We have a couple of students here that you can see them develop as we're teaching them. They're learning not only the move, but they're learning where to put their pressure and where to put their hips. And that understanding and watching them grow right in front of me is unbelievable. There's no feeling like it. It's immense pride for our students, and they work really, really, really hard. I mean, we have a little kids class, and it's fun to roll around and run with them, and we play a lot of games. But the upper kids, they are really diving deep into it, and they care about it. And watching them develop and gain a passion for it like I have for it is really inspiring. And my jiu-jitsu has improved because I'm seeing them make the same mistakes that I'm making. But I don't know that I'm making it. I feel like I'm doing the move right. Again, I use a lot of muscle. When it comes down to it, I still use a lot of muscle, and I really shouldn't. But watching them at their size be able to take me down, watching them at their size get me in a one-arm bar is really just a focus on technique. So I have to be better to teach them. To do right by them, I have to be better.
In terms of, you have your kids, I have my kids. Everybody has kids here, it seems. There's a lot of parents who train here, and that's grown. That's also interesting too, is that we've gotten parents on the mat who have kind of been like us before, where they're looking from the sidelines.
Yeah.
And that's a crazy feeling to see them enjoy that experience with their kid.
Yeah, oh yeah. They get really involved. We actually have a student and their parent. She's injured right now outside of jiu-jitsu, but they still come on our jiu-jitsu day to come watch them roll. And they're always razzing each other and saying that they should get on the mat. And the dad has gotten on the mat, and seeing that joy from the child transition into the parent is really, really, really cool. I'm so thankful for the parents that we do have. They're very understanding, and they're supporting their kids' passion. And to see the pride in their faces when they see their kids roll and hit a submission or do a move, and the kids run over to their parent and they're all smiles and happy, and it's just great to see. It really becomes more of a family event than you would think it is. It's less drop your kid off and go shopping while they do jiu-jitsu. The parents are here watching and staying, and they're cheering their kid on when they roll. It's really great to see.
Talk about how some of the older, more advanced kids are starting to take a pride of ownership of this place.
Yeah. We have people that come in and out of jiu-jitsu all the time. There's some people that want to give it a shot, and they realize pretty quickly it's not their thing. And sometimes they'll leave stuff behind, whether they leave their gi or a shirt or a water bottle or something like that. We also have some kids that come in, and we had an incident a week or so ago where a kid came in and they had something on their feet, and they ran around the mat with socks on, and it made a bit of a mess. And the kids, it was crazy to see how upset they were, but their training space was messed up. And some of the kids even came in and scrubbed the floor with us to get that off. But them taking ownership of this space, not only as a place that I train, but a place that is theirs. And I'm feeling it too after coaching some classes with yourself and me and Coach Bob. Getting an ownership for this place feels a bit like, not a second home, but I own this place too. Even though I don't pay any of the bills, thankfully. I own this space. This is my space to train. And the children growing and feeling more responsible and looking at each other and their other students during class and being like, hey, you need to pay attention. Hey, you need to be focused. You need to be doing this move right. And that to me is the coolest thing, is we have a couple of students who their younger siblings are now joining. And to watch these older students really take ownership of their own siblings and show them the moves and guide them through it. And when they're struggling, really take over and really coach them. So it's not necessarily generational, but they're passing it on to their sibling, and they really care that they're getting the move right. They care that their sibling is having fun and that they feel included. It's really awesome to see just the growth of the students, not only their jiu-jitsu, but their mindset towards this sport.
It is very cool to see a desire to protect the common space, because they realize that this is a space, but what makes it special is how we show up here.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll bring it back to you now in terms of your training. I remember the day when you got your blue belt.
Yeah.
And it's a very heavy belt.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly.
So you had joked that you were going to be a 60-year-old 4-stripe white belt, and you just kept coming, and here you are.
Yeah, the day that I picked it up, I honestly had no idea. You get beat up so much all the time. I didn't realize that I was necessarily improving. And then when Coach Craig, we came in for a seminar, and he promoted a blue belt to purple and me to blue belt. I was shocked. I was honestly shocked. In the car on the drive over, I was talking with my kids about how I was going to be a white belt forever. And then I pick up my blue belt, and I was filled with pride, but at the same time, apprehension. Because as a white belt, there's no expectations of you. You come in, whatever gym you're going to, and you're just supposed to get rolled over, and you're just learning the basics. As a blue belt, you're supposed to know what you're doing. When they talk about K-guard, you're supposed to know what that means. When they talk about hitting an arm bar from mount or side control, you're supposed to know how to do that. And so there was a little bit of pressure there. And then I realized it very quickly when I started rolling with the upper belts, the purple belts and the brown belts and the black belts. They treat you differently. As a white belt, they're kind of just letting you try out the moves and get the technique. As a blue belt, there was no mercy. It was just crushing me all of the time. And there was a step back. I felt very much like there was a step back when I picked up blue belt. And Coach Frank actually, he talked to me about it afterwards. He says it's very normal. A lot of people, when they pick up blue belt, they actually stop doing jiu-jitsu because they had confidence, and then they pick up that blue belt and they realize they don't know as much as they thought they did because people were going easy on them. But I took it the other way. I took it as a challenge. I took it as I need to earn this. And I still feel that. When I tell people about my blue belt, I call it a baby blue belt because I feel like I didn't pick up that long ago, and I need to represent the belt. And that really came into fruition when I went to the main camp, the Globetrotters. I think we had picked up probably 3 months before that. And I went there and I rolled with the blue belts. And I gotta be honest, there was a lot of blue belts that had been blue belts for 2-3 years that I was just rolling over. And it gave me this huge sense of pride that I earned this blue belt. I really, really did. And I was able to test myself against other blue belts and white belts and purple belts there and feel that I do know something about jiu-jitsu, which is hard when you're learning with the same, 15, 20 guys. They're progressing at the same rate or faster than you, and you don't feel like you're making a whole lot of progress because everyone's growing at the same rate. Then when I go to a new gym and I realize, I know what I know. Like, we're pretty good at pressure passing here. So while it's hard for me to pressure pass at White Mountain Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's pretty easy for me to pressure pass when I go to a gym that's just not their jam. And then they show me a move where they may master the butterfly sweep, and I realize that I don't know anything about the butterfly sweep. So having the blue belt, it allows me to say, yes, I do know the move, but now I need to master the moves. It's a heavy responsibility having the blue belt and having to live up to the belt.
Bring it back to the kids for a second. How, sometimes we get tired, sometimes we are sore.
Yeah.
Blue belt, I think, is easy to walk away from. I think traditionally a lot of people quit after they get their blue belt. That's they call it the blue belt blues, right?
Right.
How does being given the responsibility of the kids class make it almost impossible for you to quit?
Oh
at this
yeah,
point?
yeah. It could be, because I'm responsible for those kids. And it is Coach Craig's class, but you and I have taken over a lot of responsibility when it comes to the kids classes, and I need to be better for them. If I stop learning, well, they can only learn as much as I know, and so they'll have a plateau for their learning as well, and that's just not fair to them. I mean, we love our children endlessly, and I feel a sense of responsibility for the other students that are here, not just my own children, and watching them progress, because they progress at different levels as well. I need them all to feel like there's a next step. But if I don't know that next step, well, then they can't take it. So I really need to perfect my craft. I need to be better at this, and I need to keep pushing so that they can grow. I don't want to be the limit of their growth. I want their growth to be endless. And there are some students that we have that I have no question in 5-10 years are going to be better than I am. They just are going to be. They learn faster, they're more flexible, they bounce, and I don't. But their understanding of jiu-jitsu is at the same level as mine already. And so I need to continuously improve. I need to come to as many classes as I can. Right now, I come to Wednesday mornings when I can get up. Wednesday afternoons, I come to Sunday mornings, and I'm here for the Thursday classes. We have the Tuesday class with the kids, and sometimes I get here Monday. Like, I feel a responsibility, again, with the weight of the belt, to represent White Mountain Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and to feel like I'm doing the children justice and coming in here and showing them something that builds off of the move that we did last time. Because sometimes you can learn, I mean, I joke with the kids, there's 7 trillion Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu moves. There just are. But showing them a new move every class isn't doing them justice either. I want to build off what we did last time. And in order to do that, I need to know what the next step is too.
In what for your children and for all the kids, what is your hope for them for the future in jiu-jitsu? Like what do you...
In jiu-jitsu, I kind of hope they take my focus, as much as I talk about I want them to understand the next step and there to be no ceiling for them, I want them to take this beyond jiu-jitsu. Like I did, it really, really played a huge role in my mental health and my growth and my healing from my war trauma. I want them to take the lessons that they learn here. We have a dancer that comes in, and her understanding of her hips and her movement is so great that she just came in here and did well. She transferred her learning from dance to jiu-jitsu. And I want the students that learn jiu-jitsu to do the same thing. Your understanding of your proprioception, like where your body is in space, you can take that to any sport. Basketball, football, there's a lot of the kids that play soccer, baseball. Understanding that recognition of self and their body, and then moving that on into other parts of the life. And then the confidence you get. When you roll and you hit a submission for the first time, you're glowing for the rest of the day. It doesn't matter if you hit it on white belt, doesn't matter if a kid did it to a new student. Hitting that submission for that first time just fills you with pride and helps you continue to push forward and constantly learn. I want them to feel confident in themselves. So when they go out into the real world and they're, the real world can be tough. I want them to have the confidence that they got from jiu-jitsu to understand that they're going to be okay. Being comfortable, being uncomfortable is a great thing to learn in jiu-jitsu. For those, we have a couple of students that are really, really into it, and I think they were going to do jiu-jitsu for the rest of their life. And I want them to take these lessons that we're learning, that we're teaching them as young students, as young adults, and I want them to build off of that in a way that makes them feel, again, confident in their journey through jiu-jitsu.
Talk about the friendships, the unexpected community and friendships that you've gotten out of here.
Yeah, so this is a little bit like the military. When you leave the military, there's a sense of camaraderie that you lose. You absolutely do. Like, there are people thrown from all over the country. I served with people that were from Washington State, from Texas. There was a kid from Puerto Rico. Like, we had one from Ukraine. Like, there are people all over the world that come to the Marine Corps. And you're thrust in the same spot, and it kind of becomes a bond through mutual misery is what it is. And Jiu-jitsu is similar in that you have people from all different walks of life. We have people that are highfalutin business people, and we have doctors, we have nurses, we have construction, we've got plumbers, we've got everybody from all walks of life that you normally wouldn't meet. And you develop pretty quickly a friendship with them because you're all just got kneed on today. If that was less than knee on belly, you all just took a knee to the diaphragm and you struggled to breathe. And then afterwards we can all laugh about it and joke about it. And you get this sense of bonding in something unique that you can talk about and it is yours. Like that's another part of having ownership over this space and this community is it's mine. It's also yours. We can bond over that mutual love of this sport and what we can learn together. I've hung out, I've gone hiking with some of the people from jiu-jitsu. We talk about mountain biking with some of them. I hang out with one of them and play video games, you know, and you and I have developed a really strong friendship that has only grown because of jiu-jitsu. And we travel together to, I rode up in a car with Frank, the black belt here, up to the main Globetrotters, back and forth. And we learned so much about each other. We really connected and had some really good talks. And that kind of bonding is something that I really did miss leaving the Marine Corps. And that camaraderie here is awesome. When somebody comes in to the door and they're 5 minutes late, we all give them crap, but we all know his name. And we know their music tastes and we know their preferences. We have a couple of people that love to do, you know, ankle locks or knee bars or wrist locks, and we give them crap for it, but we know them, and you feel a kinship towards them every time you see them, even out in town. It's really, really cool to see somebody you do jiu-jitsu with out in town and be like, oh, hey, buddy, you know, it just lights up.
So, is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't?
I think you asked pretty much everything. The biggest lesson that I want to impress upon people, if I do have a lesson to teach, it really is I've destroyed my body. Over all of the sports and all of my years, I've been very, very hard on my body. And just these last couple of years, I've learned how to take care of it and be patient with it. And that's really, really hard when I come in and I teach a kids class and I'm watching my kids roll and my shoulder hurts. And I just want to get on the mat and I want to go ham and I want to do a flow roll. I want to go slow. And then you get in that moment, you're like, oh, this is right here. Let me just push really hard to get past it. And it's really understanding that it's not about pushing past your own limits. You know, understand your limits and stay within them. That doesn't mean you have to stop coming to jiu-jitsu. It just means that when you're here, you really need to be okay being passed. You have to be okay losing. You have to be okay being uncomfortable, because that's the only way that you grow. If you're constantly smashing people on the ground and you're working on that one thing you're really good at, you didn't learn anything today. Yeah, I smashed a bunch of white belts. Congratulations. I didn't progress, you know? Work on something. Come into jiu-jitsu with the mindset not of I'm going to win, but I'm going to grow today. And that's really what jiu-jitsu is about for me now. It was about healing to begin with. It was about winning, and then it became about growing. Just come here and grow every day. That's it.
Well, thank you, Jame. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you.